How do you guys, you said, Sam, that you guys met online. How do you come into contact with Matt, and how do you decide that you're going to work on a book together?
Yeah, so at that point, around the time that Matt and I connected online, I was still kind of figuring out how to, market myself, what do I want to do in art. Like there was a period where I wasn't sure if I wanted to like get into animation or character design or just illustration in general. So I was trying to like figure out how to like narrow down my portfolio. And since I wasn't like going through art school and figuring out how to do all that, I was kind of doing it on the fly. But there were always like open calls for like writers looking for artists. So I would be sharing whatever stuff I had already. Like at that point, I had already kind of drawn like a short silent comic about a superpowered turtle, kind of like a little bit Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles inspired, I guess. So I had a little bit to share already. So I would reply to people who were asking for artists. And I think Matt came across one of my replies to one of those threads at some point, and he just messaged me and asked if I would be interested in participating in PitMad, which was, I think it's now defunct, but it was sort of a biannual event where you share like a couple sentence long pitch basically on Twitter, and editors and agents would express their interest via like a fave or a reply. And that's how we would get in contact with various editors and agents who participated in the event. And that's how we eventually met our agent, Maria. Is it Vicente or
Vicente, yeah.
Vicente? Yeah. It's yeah, I'm just like everything I read online, like I've never had the opportunity to like pronounce everyone's names, so I'm still getting used to the pronunciation. But yeah, that's how we got in contact with her, and then from there it was just sort of like a one thing after another, where she helped us send out the pitch, figure out like how to structure it, and me and Matt worked together on coming up with the character designs and the pitch pages that we would send. And it was all a learning process for me, since that was sort of my first experience, not only with pitching for like the publishing industry, but like specifically comic publishing. So I was sort of like learning and figuring out comics and publishing at the same time. And I think at that point, I was mature enough to sort of handle the process. And, having someone like my partner, my wife, who had a steady job at the time was really a blessing for us. So I had time to work part-time rather than a full-time job, on top of, taking care of a small child. Um, so it really all worked out really well uh, on my end at that stage in my life to figure that all out.
I will raise my cup of coffee to that. Here's to the hardworking spouses with
Yeah,
great jobs
yeah,
and health benefits of the world that make
yeah,
all the rest of it possible.
yeah. I definitely couldn't do that without that support. So hopefully I'm able to pay it back someday with lots of royalties and sequels and stuff like that. So
If you enjoy the show, esteemed audience, always remember none of this happens without Mrs. Kent and her blessed
yeah, yeah,
So, okay, so it's literary agent Marie. I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name, but Marie gets you guys together. She says, oh, okay, there's a bit of peanut butter here, there's a bit of chocolate here. Let's get these together and make this beautiful combination. Or were you guys already in contact and thinking you should work together prior to that, Matt?
Oh, I had already
yeah,
contacted Sam, and I had started up a pitch. I actually, PitMad was not ever in the in my mind when we first started, because I hadn't
yeah,
heard of it. So the initial idea was we were getting together these 5 pages of art, these short pitch packages that I would have sent to Oni Press,
yeah,
Image, all sorts of other like independent comic places was my thought. But then I had a friend say, hey, this thing Pitman's happening. And in like maybe the last like hour of the day, 2 hours, I was like, hey, Sam, what do you think? We should do this. And then I put it on, and it was pretty fast, I'd say. I think there was 4 agents who requested the manuscript, which you just do a little heart to request. And I had phone calls with 3 of them, and Maria was, I thought, really the right person out of all of that. And then we kind of shifted our plan, and we were like, okay, I guess we can go towards these traditional publishers. Let's see kind of how it goes. And we got together stuff. It changed so much. The story changed a bunch through notes, as I feel like that happens a lot. But I think it really happens a lot with comics, because a lot of comics, at least then, you were going in with a synopsis, some sample script, an overview, and some art pages. You're not going in with even close to a full manuscript. You're going in with, like, I think Lumberjackula, there was 5 pages of script I had written, and a synopsis. So it's easy to change. Like, it's much easier to change than saying a novel that is completed, and you're saying, okay, rewrite this other half. At this point, it's like, all right, rewrite this other, the end of your synopsis isn't strong. I think you should change it this way. And then, you listen, you hear if you like it or not, and go forward with that. But obviously editors always have different ideas. Like, some people were like, I hate that Lumberjackula has a beard. A kid can't have a beard. That's so silly. And then the latter, I love that this kid has a beard. This is awesome. So you really realize, like, it's so subjective, and you can't get bogged down by what people say most of the time, unless it's a recurring theme that's like they're all saying, hey, you can't have Jack using his axe on this kid at one point. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a real
panel that we can maybe find in a special feature one day.
A horror movie version, like that Winnie the Pooh horror movie that's coming out.
Yeah, that was kind of a learning process for me because of my background in writing. I was used to doing things like a workshop almost, where people would give feedback, and you'd have to kind of decide which was good feedback and constructive feedback, and which was the kind of feedback you could disregard. So I'd have to kind of figure out, even in the drawing process, when I would get notes back on my art, like which thing can I disregard, and which thing, like Matt was saying, like, is this something that just isn't going to fit for a middle grade audience, like weapons and things like that. Like, I'd have to kind of figure out which things to, like, stick to my guns on.
Yeah, God forbid a child read a comic book with a weapon in it before they go play their Assassin's Creed video game or whatever they do. I love the idea that there's an editor who says, okay, this child's a vampire, can hypnotize people, sure. But beard, that's not real. We should help cut the beard.